Say, let's pretend this green is a puny little ant. Did that hurt? Nope. Well, how about this?
You let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if they ever figure that out, there goes our way of life.
Yo guys, what's up, man? I wanted to bring you guys a video on my minion build. I feel like it's pretty close to being done now. It's close enough to where I definitely wanted to upload it, and I wanted to talk about the idea and what we got going on. So this is kind of like the old minion build I was using, which were the Veil Guards, and the previous to that was the Arsonists. Which honestly, the Arsonist wasn't too bad, but still wasn't great. The Velguard, they were great, but the eye cancer was just unbearable. And what I mean by that is like the entire fucking screen is covered with flame constantly, and you can barely see anything. And with ground effects and stuff like that, it's really hard to see. But I would say there's a lot less eye cancer with this build currently. You just do have to get used to the frost bombs that they're dropping. As you can see, that shit happens all the time, even when you're in your hideout just standing there. So that part you'll have to get used to. I tend to take off the sound a little bit. Once it starts to annoy me a little bit, I'll just turn the sound down for the effects, and that helps a lot with this specific ice bomb problem. But that's really the only real issue we have here. We are currently sitting at quite a bit of minions. As you can see here, the current minion that we are using is called a Frozen Mantible, and we have 5 of these. Now my gems aren't maxed out level, and I could certainly have a couple of better gear pieces here and there, but it's just, I am really happy with it. So without further ado, let's go into the gear first and foremost. And let's start from the top down. So we're using a +2 minion helmet. This one would be awesome if I could get a little bit of a better one. I would love to have an exceptional base with 2 sockets, +2 minion skill, the 200 life, and the energy shield being a little bit higher maybe. That would be awesome. And then of course having lightning res and fire res and chaos res would be perfect. And then preferably I would corrupt it, and then get, instead of getting 3 sockets, which will also be nice, I would get a +1 minion on top of the +2 already. So we have 2 sockets, 12% reservation, and 3 skills on the helmet. That would be absolutely god tier. And then maybe like 100 to 150 more energy shield on it. That would be absolute the best of the best in my opinion. Probably wouldn't get better than that, but with what I got here, I'm pretty happy. We started out with a little bit lower end base, but crafted something that actually turned out to be really, really useful. A common theme you'll see throughout the build is stacking a lot of life, energy shield, minion skills, resistances of course, and then the reservation of minion skills, like increased reservation efficiency, because that allows us to have more minions for less spirit. But yeah. So next up from the helmet, we'll go one down, we'll check the armor out, and this is one of my favorite armors at the moment. I really, really love this armor. This armor is insane due to a couple of things. First and foremost, it has decent energy shield, it's not too bad. Nothing outrageous or anything, but for an armor energy shield base, it's pretty decent, being close to 500 energy shield. Having the 39 spirit is kind of a must. We definitely need spirit on our armor, just to kind of like min-max everything. Fire and cold resistances, great. That helps our resistances get in check. However, it's not the most important thing to have high rolls. As you can see, mine is fairly low rolled, because the one thing that matters to me is energy shield, spirit, and gain armor, maximum mana as armor. That's like my main parts of the armor I want to get, so that's the reason behind it looking like it does here. And we have corruptor for 3 sockets. Very, very nice, to be fair. Next up we have the gloves, and the gloves are pretty mid in terms of rolls and stuff. I just needed the resistances real bad, so to kind of fix the resistances I was looking through different gear, and I was like thinking, well, the gloves is probably my best bet for fixing a lot of those resistance issues, and on top of that, getting a decent life roll on it is perfect. It's basically what I wanted. We have like 153 life on the gloves with fire, cold, and chaos res. Pretty standard and pretty decent stuff. It's not again, it's not the best base or anything, and it's not a pure energy shield base, which would have been better in my opinion, but it's good enough to where I'm like happy with it. Now for the scepter, and if you saw my scepter video on how to craft your own scepter, this is what we're currently rocking, which I crafted myself. This is super nice. Basically what you want is you want to find a base with +4 to start with. If you can find a +4 base that has either no other mods on there at all, or like one other mod and it's magic, it's really simple to make something equally as good as this. It does not take a lot of currency, and it doesn't take a lot of understanding crafting or anything. It's very simple. In here we have increased allies damage in your presence. So we get basically 80% here, plus another 30, that's 110% increased damage for our minions. So that works out really well. On top of that, we have our skeleton minion, and the skeleton warriors, we use sacrificial offerings, or the pain offering, and that comes out to more damage and attack speed, so that works out really well. Now, for my ring here, I'm currently rocking this ring. I do want to re-roll the evasion rating and get something different at some point, but for right now, this is pretty much what I'm just happy with. It has life, mana, which is really nice, and then it has the resistances I needed, plus some dexterity, which is kind of, if you look at my stats here, we are kind of hungering a little bit for attributes points. It's really not easy to fit all of it together without having a little bit of attributes on some of your gear. So for me, that is on my ring. I get 29 dex from the ring, and then on the other side we have another really decent ring here, which is a breach ring, and that also allows me to gain a little bit extra life. It has rarity for items, which is super nice, and then it has the resistances I was needing, plus some all attributes, which is kind of important here, because if I were to take this ring off with the 13 all attributes, I would not be able to use all of my skills, because I am so much in need of attributes that I actually have to have some kind of extra source of it. So beforehand, I would have a intelligence and a strength rune inside of my armor, and then only one evasion or one greater iron. But now, since I have gotten this ring, I was like, you know what, we can then go back to energy shield and buffing some more energy shield on the armor as well, and then remove the attribute runes. But yeah, that worked out really well, and now we got a triple socket with all the energy shield we would want. Again, I would really love to remove the physical prefix here and then re-roll that into something different. That'll come later down the line. I'll see if I want to spend that kind of currency on it. I'm not entirely sure if I want to. Now, next up is probably one of, if not the best part of the build, which is my amulet. Currently, this is probably my most prized possession on the build. It provides an entire array of good things here. We're getting rarity from the base itself. We're getting a ton of spirit. We're getting global defenses, which add more energy shield to our build, which is super nice. We're gaining minions deal a 20% increased damage if you've been hit recently, which we do get hit fairly often, but as I'll show you later, it's no problem getting hit because of a couple of notes on our tree in combination with this armor. Works out phenomenally. Besides that, we of course have the 3 minion skills. We have some all resistance, a little bit of crit bonus, doesn't really matter too much, but the rest of it is absolute god tier. The only thing I would get rid of here, honestly, in my opinion, would be the crit bonus. I don't really care for that too much. But let's go to our focus, which is one of our main sources of energy shield on the build, in terms of just like adding some chunky energy shield buffs to the pool. So here, this is again something I have personally crafted myself. This is what I would consider pretty perfect for this specific build. So we got energy shield, we got mana, we got maximum energy shield, we got energy shield has 50% faster start. So that cuts down, that's why I opened up the second window right here. If you look at the energy shield delay, that's what that helps with. So if I were to take that off, you see it goes up to 3.2 seconds, and now it's at 2.9 or 2.29, which is, it really helps out in immense amount. Having that timer cut down as much as possible, you kind of want to get it as close to 1 second as you possibly can. Then it is just perfect. And then we got a little bit of IRS to just top it off. That would probably be the one mod I would change to something else if I had to, but as of right now, I'm really happy. And the reason I'm happy with this is because not only is it an exceptional base, but it also has a couple of things on my tree I want to point out real quick. So if we go here, if you read the bottom line here, it says 60% increased energy shield from equipped focus or foci, and that is exactly what this is. So with a very high roll on energy shield and getting an extra 60%, it just provides us a ton, an absolute ton of energy shield. If we look on my energy shield pool, I dropped to 5.3k. So this is basically 2.2k energy shield easy right here, and that is quite a bit of a health pool. It helps us a lot with survivability and helps us with big hits. Now next up we have our boots, which is kind of locked in. You kind of have to use these boots, to be fair. The Bones of Ular, which the main feature of these boots would be the reservation efficiency of your minions, which work out absolutely phenomenal in this build. I really like these boots, and having them having them corrupted is super nice. However, I would again love to get a pair of exceptionals with 2 sockets and having a 30% roll here and then corrupting them for a 3rd socket. That would be absolutely the best outcome here, I would say. And then instead of having life into them, I would probably add movement speed if I had the 3 socket exceptionals. But since I only have 2 socket corrupted ones, which are just not the best roll, the better choice for me was putting life in there to min-max my spirit, since we are getting a lot of spirit from our ascendancy, which is the infernalist, and the note right here says that reserve 25% of your life and gain +1 maximum spirit per 25% of your maximum life. So we have 2.2k life, which we are now reserving 50% of. That gives us more energy shield and it gives us more spirit. So that works out phenomenally. Now, last but not least is the belt, which is another piece that's kind of expensive. This is not a cheap trade. This cost me a bit in terms of divines. This cost me a bit in terms of divines to trade for. However, the rest of it was fairly cheap. It was really only the belt, the amulet that cost me a bunch, and wow, okay. And besides that, the rest of it have been either crafted by me, or I found it, or I traded very cheaply for it. So this build, the reason why it's so goddamn good is, first and foremost, It's corrupted with life on it, so as we just talked about, life gives us more energy shield, it gives us more spirit, so that mod is nearly perfect for us, to be fair. And besides that, we have 95%, which is as close as we could get to 100% without breaking the budget completely in half. So I believe I paid roughly 1 divine for this build a while back. And the important part here is, first and foremost, it has to have the helmet tag. So this item grants bonuses from socketed items as though it was a helmet. And as we just saw, with our helmet, we can get the not mana reservation, minion reservation efficiency. And on the belt, we have 2 slots for those. So that is 12%. And we get a 95% increase on our 12%, which makes it 22%. Now, all these combined, these mana, not mana efficiency, but spirit efficiency on skills, all makes us able to, with not even that much spirit, as you see, we have 442, which is actually not super high for Infernalists doing a mini build. You can easily, or not easily, but you can go beyond 600 spirit, but we don't need to because of all of our spirit reservation. We are able to actually have 5 of these frozen mana builds out. Besides that, we also have our 2 skeleton warriors, which is our sacrificial lambs, basically. We have a voltaic mark for our storm mages, and then we have unearthed, which creates even more minions. We can have up to 26 little scorpions, which are absolutely insane. Then we have our skeleton brutes with Kirkle's Legion, because whenever I then use my command skill, which is the shattering roar off of the brute, I then get the unholy might on me and on all of the minions. So what that looks like is, once you use that, it'll make a green circle, and you'll notice that it pops up with a little square up here saying you have the unholy might. So that is very, very nice, and main reason I went with that gem right there. Now we also have a skeleton cleric to revive our minions, and then of course we have our pain offering to sacrifice our skeleton warriors, and we have convalescence for our energy shield, so we can easily recharge our energy shield if we are getting low on it. But on top of that, as you just saw over here on our stats, our energy shield currently is 7,692, and our current recharge per second is almost 3.2k, which is basically a lot. Let me just say that it's absolutely outrageously, that's basically half of our energy shield we get back every second. Now with the convalescence, it basically lets you start the recharge, and then if you get hit, it does not interrupt and stop the recharge, it continues to go. And with 3.2k, it's kind of ridiculous, it goes pretty fast. On top of that, as I said, the delay on the recharge is one of the reasons why we want to use convalescence, because that is immediate, and once we press the button, it immediately starts, even though there is normally a delay. However, with the next couple of levels we are getting, what we are going to do is we're first and foremost grabbing this one, which would provide us with 40% increased it'll start 40% faster with the recharge, without having to use our convalescence. And then we're going to go for these 3 right here, which also allows us to start it way faster. And I think for the last 3 points, 2 points I think it is, I will probably grab these 2 just for a little bit extra energy shield, and this one if I feel like it's needed. But if we go to Doriani, we can respec for a quick second. I will just do this to kind of show off the idea. So we'll take these, let's take these 3 points out of our resistances, and then we'll pull out our sheet here, and we'll look at the timer, what happens to the delay timer once we grab some of these nodes. So if I start by grabbing this one, apply, it goes down to 1.8, so it just dropped to under 2 seconds delay, which is quite nice. And let's take these two right here. Now we're at 1.5 almost. So with the third one, we should be at close to 1.5. Let's, oh, no, we can do that one. Let's take the last one real quick just to see what it looks like. So at that point, we'll be at 1.5 second delay before it starts by itself. We'll have conveylance to start it on our own in case we need that. And this all combined together makes for a very, very, very tinky build. Let me just unspec these again because we are currently not level 100. There you go. So we definitely still want to be using our resistances here for the minions so they don't easily die. And our recharge rate there, yes. Now, let's go over the tree and I'll explain a couple of things here. What you are basically looking to stack is mana regeneration rate, because mana regeneration rate, because of our armor, applies to energy shield. So, to get more recharge rate on your energy shield, basically just stacking as much of the mana regeneration rate, which this cloister really is a great cloister because it provides energy shield recharge rate, which works, and then it provides mana recharge rate. That means that this node alone is 50% of the recharge rate basically for us, which is quite a lot, honestly. That's quite significant. And then on top of that, we of course grabbing this one over here for reducing cost of our skills a little bit and increasing our mana, but also getting another 20 mana regeneration rate, which is basically turned into 20 energy shield recharge rate on top of it. Then we have some resistances with a little bit of extra damage, and then we have some extra damage over here. We have more damage over here, attack speed and life. We have increased spirit and area of presence, very important. Then we have our extra energy shield from our focus, super important with a high energy shield focus. Then of course we grab the area of effect and withering on hit, and we grab the preservation efficiency up here, which is also very important. We went the damage route, and then on top of that, if we go on the other side here, we started out by going through the middle here. Now I did not level this as a minion build. I leveled, but I ran through the campaign with ED Contagion as my main skill, and I finished the campaign. I got to early maps, and I think it was like around tier 5 maps. I swapped into the minion build once I had the gear I needed to swap into minions fully. But yeah, that's basically how I got to this point. We of course grab as much of the energy shield as we can, and this one node is just absolutely phenomenal because it gives us 12% off our maximum energy shield as ailment threshold and stun threshold, which works out really well. Now we're of course grabbing some more energy shield over here, more in here. We're grabbing more minion stuff right here. This is for reviving the minions faster, and this is just basically letting them do more damage. This one as well for more movement speed. And then we grab the triple resist nodes right here just to give them basically almost max rest. They don't fully have max rest, like they're not at 75, which I will show in a second. Then we have our energy shield over here as well. We grab energy shield up here. We grab some extra intelligence because we are in dire need of it. And then we continue like slowly building our way to this node right here. And on top of that, we are gonna grab, as I said, these 3 nodes right down here is the plan to cut down the timer as much as possible. So that's it for the gear and the tree. Of course, I can show off my gems as well. This is kind of what you want to look for. Maximum energy shield, mana recharge rate, and minion damage. This is pretty much as good as they get, in my opinion. Again, maximum energy shield, mana regen, skill duration, and minion damage. And for the last one over here, we have maximum energy shield, cast speed, mana regen, and minion damage. Again, all of this is literally a 4-stat duel, which all 4 stats works for me. So super, super, super nice. Now let's go over some gems real quick. Conveylance. Let's start with conveylance since we're already here. Super simple setup. We're using second wind, so we have 2 tries. We have cooldown recovery, so that kind of makes sense. The upheaval, and then for our pain offering, we are using expanse and we're using dance macabre. And then for our skeleton mages, we are using shock, stormfire. We're using overcharge. We're using muster, and we're using shock condition. And for our clerics, we are using the elemental army, we're using rapid casting, we're using minion mastery, and we're using the meat shield. And then we got our brutes, and our brutes, again, we're using last gasp, and we're using bidding, tier 3 by the way, we're using meat shield, and we're using magnified effect, and then as the last one, we're using the Kirkhold's leash for our unholy might. And as you see, I only have 1 of each, no more is needed, so that's why we're doing it like that. Then we have our unearthed, which has efficiency, it has meat shields, it has maim, and it has mobility. However, I have lately been thinking a lot about adding this one just to see if that works. I kind of want to see if that has an effect or not. I don't think it has. It doesn't actually show up here, like it says it does not actually work, but I am not entirely sure if you put it in, if it has an effect or not. So I just wanted to test that out. I have not done it yet, but that is one of the future things I'll do with the build. And that's about it for the unearthed, to be fair. Then another thing you could do, honestly, just to point it out here, because it's not fully linked yet. You could also put prolonged duration of them or something else, minion skill. All these things would be really, really useful. It basically comes down to preference here. Now for our spectres, which are the frozen mandibles, they are absolutely insane. They are super, super fast. We gave them even more attack speed. They have feeding frenzy, they have heavy swing, they have impact shockwave, and they have muster, and I've really played around with it. This seems like the absolute #1 setup. If we go to the damage page right here, you can see that each one of them is doing a 63.6k damage, which is 63,000 damage is quite a bit on these guys. They do tend to just annihilate basically everything they meet. They easily kill the bosses. The only thing I find they're not good at is in singular items. I would not advise you to do that with this build. There's other things where it shines 100 times more. Now for the voltaic mark, which is something we self-cast, we got the mark for death, we have prolonged duration, we have the armor demolisher, and we have mobility. And for our skeleton warriors, we have the sacrificial lamb, which is very important here. This is what makes us target them when we use our pain offering instead of our other minions. But however, you don't want to press towards the minion, because if I press right here, it will sacrifice the brute, since I'm hovering over the brute. So the way I like to do it is I like to push it out here, right? So it's like away from where the actual minions are. That just seems like it works better that way. So if you're wondering how I do it, that's how I personally do it. And there is an order to things here. Might just say there is an order to things in what order we cast stuff. So first we cast the Shattering Roar like that. Then we cast our Pain Offering like that. And then last but not least, we cast our Voltaic Mark on a boss, right? So that is only a boss setup. That is only for when you're fighting something that's really, really tough, whatever that be, a rare or a unique monster. That is for that. Now we got next up our skeleton warriors. There was sacrificial lamb, and then we have blind, we have essence harvest, and we have minion mastery. And last but not least, our hound, which we get from our ascendancy, as we are a infernalist. And here we are using Loyalty, we're using Meat Shield, we're using Hulking Minions, we're using Elemental Army, and Calling Strike. So that is currently my current, this is my current setup. This is how I like to roll with this build, and I'm really happy with how far I've pushed it. Both damage and survivability wise, it is super good. And to name a couple of things where it just absolutely shines, doing the Trials of the Sekhmet, doing the Trials of the Chaos, doing stuff like the bosses, so like the Splinters, doing the Ritual boss, doing even the Breach boss or the Expedition boss. Super easy on this, very easy. Actually, often you don't even have to do anything. A lot of times I find, for instance, I do a Trial of the Sekhmet run. If I'm doing like the gauntlet part where you have to kill a bunch of enemies and then the timer has to go down, I can, depending on the room, for the most times I can just stand like this in a corner and let them stand in front of me, and I don't even have to touch my keyboard or my mouse because they annihilate everything for me. I don't even have to touch it. Same goes for running through the trap areas and stuff. I just run through everything, right? Like I just roll, run, jump, whatever I gotta do to get through it. And then once I get through it, everything around me is dead because they already killed everything. So it's just they perform so well. And having enough of them, the more you have, the merrier, honestly. It's so powerful. It's such a powerful Spectre. In comparison to the Valguards, honestly. I feel like these are way more powerful. So I think we should take the build into a map real quick. Honestly, we should almost do a boss map, no? I don't even know if I have one unlocked. I don't. Right, so we'll just take a random map that's semi-juicy. This looks fair, right? Like, and then we'll just use whatever map we have in here. We'll do that. So, not overly crazy. I haven't deliriumed it and stuff like that, but it's still a fairly juicy map, so you can see what it looks like in action. It is fairly simple to play, as I said. You can, honestly, to be fair, you could play this one-handed if you really wanted to. I wouldn't suggest doing that, but you definitely could do that if you wanted to. But still, like, honestly, the way it works is so simple. Run around, keep your eyes out for any type of ground effects or like super boss type characters that you have to fight, and whenever you see one of those, you're just gonna quickly stop up. Like there's one here. We might not even get to do anything to him before he's dead. Well, we didn't really get to do anything because I was explaining. So that's basically how it works, right? Like I just run around. Now if this build has a tendency to make you want to sprint a lot, right? So I tend to sprint between packs constantly when I'm playing this build because the movement speed is not the greatest. With a slower movement speed, I find that sprint is just the easier way to get between packs. However, you get tempted to continuously sprint, and you do gotta watch out doing that because that just does not more often than not, it does not turn out great in your favor. Okay, we hit that, we hit our pain, we hit the Morik, and now look at her. Boom, dead. That's it. Don't have to do anything. I could just hover over her to look at her, and that's it. She's dead. Now, there are, of course, downfalls to the build too. There are situations you get caught in where you just don't have a chance because there's simply too much stuff happening all at once. So one example would be the Abyss areas. It's very hard to keep an eye out for ground effects, especially given that they are all the same color as the monsters. It is so hard to see. But as you see right here, my energy shield is down, right? So if I wanted my energy shield back right instantly, I just press this one. Oh, okay, it happened before I could do that. We'll just go lose some more, no worries. and I'll show that off because that is just so nice the way that works. It's basically our new Grim Feast. I would say that it's almost as good as Grim Feast, honestly. It doesn't provide you more safety in terms of like a high ES pool, but it just provides you the instantaneous regen, which is just absolutely stupid, and it cannot be interrupted, which is the next, like, this is just absolutely ridiculously good. So here we can stand. As you can see, I'm losing my energy shield. If I press the button, it goes up, even though I was standing in a degen. So it just works out phenomenally. Like, it's so good. There's builds out here that are absolutely extremely broken and like overly good, right? I'm saying that right now because if you're looking to meta-cock it and completely break the game in half and just run through everything like there's no tomorrow and there's no challenge doing so, you're not playing this build, right? Like, because this is slow. You're gonna want to play Lightning Arrow Ranger, which is another build I have currently, and that is basically my newest build, so it's not fully finished yet. It's still in the works, and for that reason I haven't put out a video or talked about it much or played it much. It's because I'm still working on the gear, I'm still working on finishing everything out, and while I'm doing that, I don't necessarily want to play it like a whole lot on stream and stuff like that. I kind of want to finish it out first, and then once it hits like what I would consider not necessarily the best in slot, but finished, which for me is plenty, is when a build feels finished. That's what I like to do, is make it until a point where it feels like, okay, now the amount of power I'm pulling out of gear would be like 1 or 2% instead of like 20 to 30%, right? So that's when I consider my builds finished, is when I can only do certain upgrades like mirror tiered items or whatever the hell, like something like that, right? Like that, then I would consider the build finished. And then of course you can always continue if you really like it and go the full mirror tier direction, because certainly you could have better gear than what I have right now. However, if you want to do this with a budget, you can do with a lot less, honestly. You can do with so much less. I made my first iteration of the character for, I would say, right around 6 divines is what I spent on the gear and what I spent on crafting stuff and whatnot. And it was absolutely ridiculously cheap for what it was able to achieve. So basically I was able to do T2 chest, I was able to do T2 expedition boss, I was able to do the T2 ritual boss, and I was able to do T2 simulacrums. And then now I should be able to do T4 on all the bosses. The simulacrum we're not going to be able to do any higher tiers of. I have tested this multiple times, and I just cannot get it to feel like it's smooth. Like, I can complete it technically, right? But it'll take me fucking 10 tries to do, because of how much power the enemies has in there and how many of them are. So it's a little bit hard to manage that. Whereas with my lightning arrow, it's super easy, because you just shoot one arrow towards, or one burst of arrows towards a pile of enemies, and as you do that, every other enemy around you basically dies. Whereas these have to physically get in contact with the enemies that you're trying to slay, right? So it's all about how fast are you able to move, how fast are they able to attack, and how much space is there for them to actually attack in. So here we go, here's the boss. So what we're gonna do is the roar, then we do our pain, then we do our voltaic mark, and then we just stand on the side here and we let them do what they do best. As you can see, 3 mil, 4 mil, 5 mil. Boom. That's 5 million damage right there. Very easy, very simple, extremely safe. As you saw, I was just AFKing it in the corner. Basically, that's how you play the game. If you wanted to, you could AFK a lot. with this build. Like, you don't have... I tend to play this if I want to watch a movie on my second monitor, for instance. I'll play this shit, because then I can watch the movie for the most part, and I just, like, instead of running forward, I just walk like this. I just walk around the map without really looking, and they kill everything for me. So that's just so powerful. I really, really like it. However, if you're looking for the true power, don't play this game, this build. Play something that's more in tune with lightning arrow, rather that be lightning arrow or something else that's powerful like that, because this is gonna feel slow. But I will say this though, this is probably the build I've played that feels the best to do your trial of Sekimus and your chaos trials with, even doing the top tier ones, level 80, fighting the boss and stuff like that. It's so good. It's so good. Literally fight the boss by standing in the corner. And in Sekimus, you can just go to the corner part where the stairs are, or like wherever you want to stand. You just stand in that corner, all the way packed in the back like this, and you just let them do it for you. And it just goes even with the trial of chaos, when you have to do... there is the blob pool in the middle that revives monsters. You can just walk to a corner, stand in the corner. As long as you don't have any of the ground effects that blows up on you and target you and you're standing still, you can literally AFK most of the rounds, because it just does not take any effort. It's so good. It's so goddamn good. I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like what I have done with the build. And if you're looking for future builds, be ready, because I am going to put out a ranger, of course, and then we might even put out a tactician. Since I league started the tactician, I wasn't super happy with the eye cancer. I might try and figure something new out, because even though it's a extremely good build, it's just it's not fun to play when you can't play with any other people, because they are literally getting eye fucked all the time. You cannot see shit at all. You can't see ground effects. You can't do... Everything is fucked on that build. So I am still working on it and figuring out something better for it, because at the moment this is just not it. So the future plans for this character, honestly, since I have literally made hundreds of divines on it now, I would say like almost 200 divines we've made so far on this build, just playing around with it, and that has in turn paid for all of our crafting and all of our gear on this character and on the ranger, and even on the tactician has gotten extra gear just from playing this build. So as I would say a starter build, this is pretty much top tier. It's so simple to play too, is one of the things that makes it really, really top tier for me. On top of that, having access to minions gives you a massive advantage once you want to learn specific boss fights and you want to learn the movesets of set boss fights. Having minions is one of the best ways to actually learn how to maneuver through the boss fights, because you aren't forced to keep up damage all the time in order for you to win the boss fight. You can literally let them keep the damage up, and as they're keeping up damage, you are just sitting back learning all the mechanics. Basically, that's how I like to play it when I'm playing a boss fight with this build. Rather that be a chest or something else, even just a map boss. If I want to like pick up on how all the movesets work, I just move around him, look for voice lines, look for certain abilities. They have a telltale sign 9 out of 10 times. It's really simple if you learn all the fights to see exactly what's going to happen before it happens. And this is just one of those things that happen to help you with that a lot, I would say. So yeah, hope you all have a good day, good evening, whatever it might be for you. Like, comment, subscribe, all the good jazz, and I will catch you all in the next one. Figure out some more damage here. Well, it does look like we're killing him. Oh, I see. Oh my god, I got hit by that. Bro, we tanked that. Jesus, I did not expect to tank that. All right. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, I'm dead. No? Jesus. How? How am I not dead? This worked 100% better than I actually thought it would. What the fuck? That... That was crazy. I got really confused on which one that was. Oh my god. I might be dead here. Okay, I'm not. Alrighty. That was hella fucking close. Kill him! Get him! No, get him! Did we get him? Ah, we got him. So we honestly did really, oh my god. We honestly did really fucking well on the previous big boss. That was insane. That was really well performed, honestly. Get him, boys, get him. Like the DPS is there. The DPS is there. For sure. Absolutely. The DPS is there. It's just... And honestly, I feel like... Oh, no. I feel like it has safety is here too. I don't actually feel that vulnerable. Okay. Don't get hit by that shit. But yeah, this is pretty safe.